Right, so we've just come out of the screening and Q&A for Little Deaths. Very pleased to say that we've got two of the writers / directors of two of the films. So we've got Sean Hogan and Andrew Parkinson. So, first of all, how's your experience been at Hyde Park after the viewing?
Very good, actually. I wasn't entirely sure, given that it's kind of playing in the middle of an all-nighter, and I was a bit worried as to whether it would be a bit serious or whether it was, too late for this kind of thing. And I think we played after a sort of fairly, goofy comedy kind of horror film, and I was like, my God, how's this going to play? And I think actually it seemed to go okay. We had a very good Q&A afterwards. It was interesting. It was spirited.
Usually, I've been at a couple where it's just been stony silence.
Yeah.
So,
we're glad we got to talk.
Yeah.
No, it is a difficult film. Yeah. I think it was generally well received.
Yeah.
Apart from the people who walked out crying.
weeping in the aisle.
But that's fine. At least they weren't bored.
We'll go over a few things that you'll repeat so many times, but I think it's really quite integral to the idea. So Sean, I believe it was you that came up with the idea of doing the anthology to begin with. But
it was all my fault, yeah.
It was all your fault. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, to be honest.
Good.
But had you two worked together previously?
No, we were mates. There's kind of a little mini community of indie horror filmmakers in London who kind of all go out and get drunk together on a regular basis. So we knew each other, and we had films doing the festival circuit. Our previous films were doing the festival circuit around about the same time. So we knew each other, but literally it was really just me being pissed off because I'd spent a year working on another film that didn't happen, and I was looking to get a film going sort of relatively quickly. And I, suddenly popped into my head, there hasn't been a good horror anthology in ages. Why don't we do one of those? And I kind of thought that Andy and Simon, we'd all work well together. And so I just went to them, literally one day in the pub and said, guys, why don't we do this? And they said, yes. And then the rest was a nightmare.
The rest is almost history.
So I'm guessing money's been a slight issue. If you've been on a failed project, you've come to friends and said, I've got this idea. Was the anthology idea just kind of more easier financial way to do things? Or?
Well, I think it started off as thinking 3 short films will be quick and easy to make and cheap to finance, because we'd all made feature films before, which filmmaking is just a bit of a nightmare, really. And this was no different. It did turn out to be more complicated than it should have been.
I also I grew up loving anthology movies and all the Amicus movies and all that kind of thing. So there was part of me that was definitely kind of, it'd be really cool to make an anthology movie, because there hadn't been one for a while then. Now there seems to be a lot more coming out, but we started talking about this 2-3 years ago, and it just seemed as though, there hasn't been a horror anthology in ages, so it just kind of seemed like a cool thing to do. And then also, made sense financially, also we thought.
And how long was the process? Did you have, obviously you've got a time period for the whole kind of casting shoot.
The shoot itself was a week. The casting was about a month or so before that.
Before you could get anyone to turn up.
That's
bad for him not to. But the whole process of trying to get the money was about 18 months.
Yeah.
And then once we made our films, showing it to the financiers, who freaked out a little bit, and negotiating with them for different versions. Again, that probably took another year.
Yeah, but best part of a year, yeah.
Really difficult. So
when the film came together, it came together quite quickly, and all of a sudden it was you're making it beginning of next year. So we went into pre-production, and literally, within a few months it was done, or it was shot and it was in the can. But literally, as Andy said, it was just either side of that was a long, drawn-out process.
The soundtrack as well, enjoyable.
Yes, they're all different. We had a slight nightmare with the soundtrack as well, because the composer dropped out of doing mine and Andy's at the last minute. So Andy ended up doing his own music, and I was already...
Yeah.
Wow.
I did the catering as well.
And I was already working with a guy, because I shot another film almost back to back with this, and I was already working with a composer on that who was basically in a band that I really like. And I just sort of contacted him out of the blue one day and was looking
Name drop.
Cripple Black Phoenix.
Okay.
And spoke to him about trying to license a track of theirs for this other film I was doing. And he basically said, yeah, but wouldn't you rather I wrote the music for the film? And I was like, yes.
Didn't want to ask, but...
That's what I was hoping for.
So when the composer kind of did the dirty on us for this, I went back to him and said, look, I know you're working on my other film and there really isn't any money on this film, and you haven't really got time to write 2 scores, but can I use your band's music to score my episode? And he was like, go for it. So basically that's all their, in my episode it's all their music.
How did you, so also on top of that, because it seems it's got like a little feel with like tales like that of friends pulling together and helping out each other. Was it kind of like that between the 3 of you? I mean, Simon's not here.
It actually was. I mean, certainly
It had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I suppose you're all involved, aren't you? You've got your own separate babies, but then it's
Well, there were
coming
just
together.
so many nightmares that it was really kind of, you know, it was either going to be divide and conquer, or else we had to band together and just, you know, fight the good fight and try and get the film done the way it should be done.
we had a lot of script meetings where we mostly drank beer.
So it sounds like a
Very
script
simple.
meetings should be,
That was
to be
just
honest.
right, you know. So yeah.
But I mean, at one point we both quit, and we kind of, in solidarity, we were both like, you know what? If you're going to pull this shit, then we're off.
And what was Simon in there?
Simon didn't quit. Simon was kind of.
Simon's film didn't get cut by
He
the.
didn't feel the effects as much.
No, and so he was trying to be the middleman and sort of say, well,
He
I
was
see
actually in a
their
very awkward
point.
position,
Yeah.
No,
so it's kind of useful that he didn't. So
The film
he kind
had
of
to
did
be
the dirty
released
work with the money people in a way.
Yeah. So there was basically, yeah. I mean, we had a really good cast and crew on it, and so a lot of it did come down to people just kind of banding together and saying, you know, we're all in this together. I'm not going to back down if you're not going to back down, and you know, one way or another, we finally managed to get the film finished the way it should have been.